Hello, everybody. My name is Judy Castine, and I'm the Executive Director of Secular EV. I've been with the organization now for going on 5 years. And before that, my background was in education. I was a middle school and high school teacher for many years. I sat on my local school board, the Creighton School District in Central Phoenix, if anybody's from there. And then in 2020, I ran for Maricopa County School Superintendent, missed by 0.6% of the vote. In 2022, I also ran for state senate in LD2, which is North Phoenix. Those days are long behind me. So thank you to the folks who are running. I really appreciate people, especially in very red areas like this. So whatever you can do to support the candidates that are here today, do it, because they need all the help that they can get, really. It's a dirty, thankless job, right? But we're really grateful to you for doing it. So a little bit about us. We've been around for about 15 years. We are a nonprofit 501c3. We do have a C4, but we don't really do a lot of that because we don't get involved with elections, at least not partisan elections. We focus more on issues, and we do provide a secular scorecard. By the way, I am going to have a lot of QR codes. So if you'd like to get your phones out and save these and bookmark for later, I do have a lot of information packed away in these QR codes. But these are the issues that we focus on. Healthcare, equal rights, education, discrimination, tax policy, religious expression. I'm a lobbyist as well, so I do lobbying in the Capitol. We have some volunteers who do a little bit of volunteer lobbying, and then most of it, I would say, is what's called grassroots lobbying, where we reach out to members. So I did ask Lupe, he's got one of my clipboards, but you can also sign up digitally too. I have a QR code there on the table, and obviously I can't remember if this one takes you to sign up, but if you would like to sign up, you can do so on paper pen or virtually, because we will encourage you. And we ask for your zip code because we want to know if there's something going on in your neighborhood specifically, then we can get those emails to you. We're in Yavapai County, so I've heard a lot of things about like Mingus Union and book bans and drag show bans and things like that. So we're always looking for people, especially in these areas, to be kind of a secular watchdog, to make sure that they're not reading indications at school board meetings where that is absolutely a constitutional violation of separation of religion and government. So if you'd like to stay informed, please sign up. We also do formal complaints. We have a new legal director. Diane Post is our legal director. She did a lot of work throughout the state. With us, we have a new legal director based in Keenan. His name is Mike Bryan, and he's fabulous. And we're always looking for folks. So if any of you have any talents, time, treasure that you'd like to share with us, by all means, let us know. Because we do an awful lot of grassroots volunteer work. We have a Friday discussion at Zoom. I gotta tell you about this one that's coming up tomorrow. I am so excited about it. We get speakers from all over the country that come and speak on our Friday webinar on Zoom. And this week we're going to have, don't ask me to remember their names, but it's a documentary film called The Conspiracists. I watched this last night so I can prepare for the guest. And oh my goodness, it is an ethnographer of gender studies ethnographer who decided, well, she just happened to be in Washington on January 6th doing some photography. She just wanted to go as kind of a, like take some pictures. There's this rally. I want to see what these people look like. You know what I mean? And she got there, and sure enough, an insurrection happened. And so the thing that drove her was seeing, it was mostly men in this movement, right? But she was fascinated from a gender studies perspective and a feminist. It's like, how did these women get involved? So I highly encourage you, if you understand how some of your neighbors think, watching this film, it's a little scary. It's very extreme, but it's also very eye-opening to kind of understand what these folks are. So I highly encourage everybody to get signed up so they can go to our webinars. We have a Beehive publication too. It may be legal updates. It could be things that are happening throughout the state. It could be, I focus a lot of time on school boards. Given my position and my background in education, I said as soon as I got into this organization after Katie Hobbs made it into the governor's position, I said, look, I'm still gonna lobby at the Capitol, but I really think that we need to focus on school boards, because that is where people get in to public service, and they don't there to serve the public. Oh my gosh, they are there to serve themselves and their cult leader in many cases, right? But they use that as a springboard to go into higher office, and they wreak havoc. So my beehive is kind of like my own therapy, because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. These people literally going into their public schools, getting elected, and dismantling their public schools from within. Public school teachers who encourage their community to go against bonds and overrides. Public school teachers who are encouraging folks to use vouchers, who get rid of social workers in their school, who get rid of school counselors, who ban books. So we need all of you. Not only does Christine need your help, but we need your help too, being watchdogs and watching what's going on in your community. Okay. And if you're a writer, oh my gosh, we would love to have somebody write, especially about those events that are happening here locally. I don't know if y'all have noticed it, but this local journalism is dying. It's consolidated and it's vanishing. And in places like Yavapai County or Cochise or Mojave, where literally the county board of supervisors has taken over all library operations and they're banning books now. Like, we need you folks to be signed up, and we need folks who can write about it too. You know, we don't have a huge audience, but we can get it out there for you. All right. We also have a bill tracker, so that again, this is why if you get signed up, just like civic engagement, beyond voting, Save Our School, ACLU, we track certain bills, and then throughout the year too, we will also give folks a scorecard of their elected officials at the legislature. So let's get right into it. So the legislature I've been following now for almost 20 years. And I've really never seen it quite so bad. Ever since the 45th, 47th president made it into office, the decorum has all vanished. And behavioral expectations really only exist for certain groups of people. Other people can do whatever they want to. And they really seem to enjoy attacking our public schools, our bodily autonomy, our ability to vote, and I would say our medical decisions, generally speaking, away from us. So let's talk a little bit about what happened this legislative session. There were a lot of bad things, and you can see them here. They're very self-explanatory. 2008 was a book ban bill that would make it so that libraries can no longer join the American Library Association. Justification given by the sponsor of this bill, by the way, is that they are librarians, I was just my 2.5-year-old grandson to the library today, that all those librarians are they're itching to get pornography in front of our children, right? So, of course they've got and here's the thing, folks, it's so ridiculous, because our schools are so wildly under budget at this point. I don't remember the last time I worked in a school where they actually had a full-time librarian. So and if you don't have a librarian, wouldn't you want them to have access to a professional organization that can help organize the library? None of this makes sense. And the reason why they're doing this, they're not stopping at school libraries, folks. They're going after all libraries. And again, I use Mojave County as an example. They have I would say a full GOP board, and definitely a 4-1 MAGA board. And now that board of supervisors has taken over the review of library books, and they are getting ready to adopt a policy that would make it illegal for any child under the age of 18 to check out a book from the county's library system without parental permission. Unless it goes, you can go to the children's section. So, 17-and-a-half-year-old kid, and you're maybe like doing a search project about, say, ancient Rome. Well, you get to have picture books from the children's section, unless you have a parent that will sign a permission for you. That is the America that they envisioned for us. There's another bill to allow prayer at school board meetings. Thankfully, that one, I don't even think that one made it pass. I think it just made it out of committee and just kind of died. This one, everyone should be concerned about, and I am so sorry. I wish I had. I actually did do the research on this, because you can see right here, Humboldt Unified does have somebody in the district who is actively working to bring Christian nationalist curriculum to your children in public schools. Likewise Academy, it's a likewise Christian curriculum. It is a Christian nationalist curriculum that started in Ohio and Indiana, and they are systematically going around the United States trying to flip state legislatures to force school to provide religious release time during school hours. So this bill, HB 2266, would have changed us from a may state to a shall state. So you may allow children to leave during school hours for religious instruction, but you don't have to in Arizona. That's the rule right now. They want us to be a shall state. You have to allow children to go during school hours with people who are not certified and people who do not have background checks. That's what they want to see happen. So again, thankfully, Governor Hobbs did veto this bill. They will be back. This is an organization, a nonprofit organization that in 2020, their annual budget was $1.5 million. And in 2025, it was $37.5 million. They use a franchise model. They use volunteer labor, just like many churches do, right? And they get folks to basically sponsor children and to indoctrinate them on public school campuses. So keep an eye out, folks. It's in Flagstaff already. Like I said, there's somebody in Humboldt who is there on step 4. And the thing is, they'll tell you, oh, we've got a petition with 300 people who want to come, who want this program in their schools. What they don't tell you is those 300 people don't even live in the state. So you have to be vigilant when it comes to this organization because they will not stop. And in their program, to elementary school age children, they say things like, if you are Catholic, you're an abomination in the eyes of God, you're going to hell. If you are LDS, you're an abomination in the eyes of hell, or in the eyes of God, you're going to hell. And if your parents or anybody you love is LGBTQ, they're also an abomination. They're also going to hell. And this is what they want to bring to our students. Lots of book bans, always book bans. Jake Hoffman is a miserable human being. He's in the Senate, and you'll get to see him here in just a moment. There were quite a few forced birth and fetal personhood bills. I wanted to highlight just a couple again. HB 2040 would have made it so, like in a state where you have to opt in if you want comprehensive sex ed, right? Where you are really limited in the things that you can say about certain things from district to district. They now want to have like no comprehensive sex education, no medically accurate age appropriate sex ed, but they do want to tell children about adoption. They just want them to know that babies can be adopted. Thankfully, that one I didn't even think made it out of committee this year. Another one was if a student in a university or a community college setting in Arizona needed to go to the health clinic for any kind of birth control or OBGYN related healthcare, that they would have to, oh wait, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. This is where they would actually I got those mixed up. This is the one where they would be telling folks that, you know, here's some information about adoption. Even though they're just going there to fill their birth control prescription, they would have to tell that that adoption is an option, even though the woman standing in front of them is not pregnant at all. So that's kind of, it's like this preemptive, like you're no longer a human being, you know, of value all on your own merit. You are now basically a holy vessel. And me, I don't know what I am because I'm post-menopause. So I'm not really sure where I fit in. If it was the Handmaid's Tale, I would say I'd be a Martha. I'm way too old to be a handmaid, and I'm not, you know, cunning enough to be a wife of one of the leaders. Let's see. So let's talk a little bit too about some of the anti-trans, anti-drag stuff that's been going on at our state legislature. Oh, I know why that's not working because I couldn't get onto the internet. So there's a lot of anti-trans bills that have been going through our state legislature. One of them is going to be about, you know, keeping bathrooms, even though it's a really small percentage of the population. And so, yes, there is a bathroom bill, and I'll get to that in a minute because it's going to be on the video that was up here. I just I'll try to describe it. There was a gentleman who was a father to a trans child, grown child that barely made it out of their high school, college situation because of their gender identity. And he was using his ability, his First Amendment right to speak about, what's going on in these bills. And he started to say, these state legislatures that are passing these bills, they're seeing a trans genocide. And he got gaveled down by Senator Jay Hoffman and forcibly removed for simply just saying his opinion about a bill. And by definition, when you look at what is happening to the trans community right now, it is very much the beginnings of a genocide. And so that's the kind of thing that happens all the time. I would be surprised if Lupe has been removed from the legislature at some point arbitrarily, because it's happened to most of us who show up at the Capitol, whether we're there at 5 in the morning for protecting public education and demanding funding, or simply going to speak your mind. And I like to show those videos because whenever I do, I get to see the whole entire audience's jaw just kind of drops. I showed it to a bunch of high school kids, and afterwards they all signed up and they wrote these little cards for me, and they said, I really didn't think they were high school seniors, and said, how can somebody still have a job like that if it's how they behave? And I responded to all the kids and I said, well, when you've been in charge of the legislature since 1966, you basically make all the rules and you get to do whatever you want to. So they didn't like that, and they're now going to be a little bit more active when it comes to their local democracy. I do believe that I think that every single high school student, every single citizen of Arizona should have to watch at least one Senate government committee hearing because the behavior is so bad that when you see it, you're just blown away. Like, how can our elected officials behave this way, and how could it be biased against one side? So you all know who you got. And again, I'm real sorry. It's bad. It's real bad. And these images here that I took, these are directly from their Twitter feeds. This is what they value. I don't know what these folks are so afraid of, because it seems as if they distrust absolutely everybody that they come in contact with. I've never met a more insecure, afraid group of people to feel the need to arm yourselves. Post Christmas cards of your kids carrying like AR-15s. It's so bizarre. So is it really that dangerous here? Like, what's going on? Why are these people so afraid? Yeah, I'm right. Yeah. Oh, by the way, folks, there is an event coming up that we're going to be at. It's called the Woke Feast. I found it. I stumbled upon it, and it's very Christian. It's very Jesus-y. I didn't see any other denomination, but like some form of Jesus. Yes. Well, we got an email back. And okay, so under the description it says if you do youth advocacy, which we do for trans, like they're gonna hate that, right? You know what I mean? So I actually invited the Reason Riders. They're a atheist motorcycle group because I was like, I don't want to be on the square and cross kid by myself. So hey, Reason Riders, could you show up and just like look really tough? They're a bunch of teddy bears, but they look scary. So I was like, okay. But yeah, it's very Christian-y. It's all about like community aid and mutual aid, but I couldn't find any other. It was all about. So we'll see. I actually kind of filed it just to see if they let us join, and they are. So we'll see you there if you want to show up. You can give me the date for it. We do. This is from CEBB. If you're not signed up with CEBB, we partner with them all the time. Civic Engagement Beyond Voting. They're your statewide and municipal group. And they are fantastic. They have a full House and Senate seat that they update every single cycle. And it's just handy to have. Let's see, we all know the primary outcomes, but I do want folks to pay attention because I was at an event the other day where Content said that he, according to his polling, is only 2 percentage points ahead of Peters or of Colliton. I got those mixed up, by the way, because it's Colliton that he's going against. And I've met and tried to have a meeting with Colliton before, and he like the fact that there's 2 percentage points between those two folks is very worrisome to me. We are not a partisan organization, but we do oppose Christian nationalism, and I've seen Alexander Colliton do some very Christian nationalist things. we already talked about this, but we were all brokenhearted this week. Prop 212, once again, because they cannot play fair. The Goldwater Institute had dozens of attorneys working around the clock to make sure that this bill was removed and that the voters would not have a choice or a chance to even see the fruits of their labor. I know so many people who worked on this bill, and it's heartbreaking. But there is a silver lining here, folks. I was in a meeting the other day too with somebody from ASBA, the School Board Association. When they started this, folks, this is astounding to me because I'm sure we're all people who are plugged in, we pay attention, we know what's happening in our communities from school board all the way to governor. But not everybody does, right? In the beginning, the polling in Arizona was 10% for vouchers. 10% of people were aware of what was going on with vouchers before this initiative, before they started getting signatures. And now their post-primary polling, or whatever you want to call it, was 40%. We don't have it on the ballot, but that is huge. They laid the groundwork because now what we can do is we can flip the legislature. Because that is going to be the only way that we have any accountability for these out of control vouchers that are really just subsidies for billionaires. It's disgusting. Did you know that there's going to be a Netflix show coming up? It's a Kardashian-produced Netflix show of some elite baseball academy in Phoenix, Arizona. And apparently, like 100% of the millionaires and billionaires who send their kids there use the vouchers. A Kardashian-produced show. Oh yeah, and then wasn't our state superintendent also touting a charter school with Mike Tyson? Mike Tyson, a convicted rapist, right, and sexual assaulter. He's running a school in Arizona. So yeah, these are the things we're gonna have to be fighting, folks. There's gonna be a trans bathroom ban, and I hate to see it, but there are so many people who have so much misinformation about this issue. You know, when we talk about sports bans, there are 500,000 athletes in the NCAA, and less than 10 of them are trans. And there have been policies and procedures in place for decades to allow those students to play. So now the Supreme Court has weighed in on 10 students. Classroom spending, really scary, folks, because it sounds so good. Folks want this will require that 60% of all education spending goes into the classroom, but it takes so much more than that to run a school district. We need to have counselors, we need to have bus drivers, we need to have crossing guards, we need to have special ed aides. Like, and here's the thing, the other thing about those angry, afraid people that carry AR-15s everywhere, they don't care about anything until it affects them, you know? Because what's gonna happen is their beloved football team or their beloved football coach is gonna go away, or the funding that they were hoping to be able to get to improve their stadium is going to go away. You know, and that's what's going to happen. Their favorite choir director is going to be gone. There won't be enough, other clubs for their kids to join. So it's going to affect them, but unfortunately, by the time it does, it'll probably be too late. So get the word out to all your friends and neighbors. No on 320. I actually put it's so very small, and I apologize for that. If it starts with a 1, it's a constitutional amendment, like Prop 149 in abortion. If it's 2, that means it's voter-led. So that's why Prop 212 is because we, the voters, initiated that. 3 means that they didn't get their way down at the legislature, and so they bypassed the governor's veto by turning it into an HCR. And then 4 are your locals, right? So if you have a municipal bond, right, that's going to start with the number 4. One of the things that I wanted to talk about why 212 was defeated, and this was just from a meeting yesterday, I just decided to take a screenshot of it. One of the things that they dug into, because as you probably know, Save Our Schools is an organization that is run by mostly women, and its volunteers are mostly women. And so one of the things I found out yesterday is that there were a few women who were like superstar volunteers throughout the states. And because they put mailboxes, etc., address, they invalidated in some cases tens of thousands of signatures by people who had that kind of address. And many of those folks who had that kind of address had that kind of address because of an order of protection and a violent X somewhere in their past. So again, that's terrible. But if we put the legislature, we can change that. Because how on earth is that okay? That a woman who's involved in a domestic violence situation has to put her name on there, invalidating signatures? And in the Epstein era, I'm sorry, I just can't not call that stuff out anymore. Oh boy, this is more for my Maricopa County folks, but I'm sure that your PUSD up here might have some similar characteristics. But like I said, there are boards throughout the state that are truly taking the Steve Bannon, flood the zone, get on your board, do everything. They're doing that, and they're acting like little dictators on their board. This district here, they've changed their legal counsel. They've gone through 2 superintendents now. They've removed DEI. Recently, they were in the news because their anti-DEI policy resulted in books like Frederick Douglass' Narrative of a Slave, Raisin in the Sun, and The Summer of the Mariposas being removed from their shelves. But they doubled down on that anti-DEI policy, you better believe it. They read some scripture at the dais, and one of the board members has cost the district almost $1 million in frivolous lawsuits, HR violations, public records requests. So these folks are doing real damage to their public schools. Okay, if anybody in here is looking for something to do, maybe you want to wait till after the election because you've got people to help here, but we do have a board of directors. It's volunteer. We would love to see some folks join. And if you have a talent, even better, especially legal, because our legal department is swamped right now. Folks who used to respond to our complaints, now they're kind of like, what are you going to do about it? Like, there's a school, I want to say it's in Verde Valley, where they're fully teaching a Bible course. They're teaching a Bible course. It's not Religions of the World, it's an elective Bible course. And we've sent complaints to them, and they said, what are you going to do about it? And if we don't have a plaintiff in that community because everybody's too afraid that their car is going to be keyed or their tires are going to be slashed or that somebody's going to attack them or their children, then we don't have a case. We need plaintiffs for these cases for anything to happen. So that class continues. Let's see what else. We are struggling right now. I think like a lot of other nonprofits, not only for a lot of nonprofits is grant funding going because of this regime, but people, it's an election year, and there's a lot of people who are just not making it right. So anything that you can do, even if it's a $5 monthly donation, it makes a big difference for a little tiny organization like ours. Because we truly are. We're battling Goldwater Institute, Turning Point USA, Heritage Foundation, First Liberty Legal. You know, we're a secular organization, but it really is like David and Goliath. Like we're tiny compared to these folks. And my video is not anymore, so that's okay. And I'm sure I'm probably over time, so I apologize, but I just wanted to take a moment and see if there were any questions. My point here, because I feel like sometimes the information that I share with folks is a little dark, but there's definitely hope out there. I see young people everywhere in my travels. I was telling the ladies who organized this tonight that when I did 6 counties during the month of June this year, and I went to prides all over the state. And aside from Bisbee, Flagstaff, Phoenix, and Tucson, every single pride, whether it's in Prescott, whether it's in Yarnell, whether it's in Pine, Payson, they all started after Donald Trump became president. That tells me everything that I need to know about the resolve of the people in communities like yours and throughout the entire states. But as somebody else here alluded to, it's that deep canvassing that we need to do. It's getting to know our neighbors, talking to them about issues that really affect all of us. There's another story to give you some hope, and I'm hopeful that Christine is having these conversations too. But I have a good friend who's on the school board in Cape Creek. He's now running against John Kavanaugh in the Cape Fountain Hills, North Scottsdale area. And he's been working in that area in local politics for a very long time. And now he's like, Jeannie, I have to go to the doors to kids. And I was like, I'm sorry. And then he was like, no, it's been great. He's like, it takes a long time. It might take 10, 15, 20 minutes even, but all I do is shake hands, give him my hand card, say, hey, you can learn later, but I'm really here to get to know you. I'm your neighbor, and I want to do is keeping you up at night. He's like, these people are telling me things like, I never thought I'd go for a Democrat. And here I am sitting in my driveway having a conversation. I'm going to vote for you, and ending with a handshake. So I have look what happened, right? No, what's happening in these special elections all over the United States, but it takes the work. We need to knock doors. We need to have conversations with our neighbors, and we need to really pay attention all the way down to the school board level about what is going on in our communities, because if you give them an inch, they're going to take every single mile. And the thing is, we outnumber them. They're loud, but we are many. There are way more of us. So those of us who are able, we need to step up and stand up for our democracy. Thank you. I don't know if you can take the word. Yeah.
Yeah, I think your growth station, where would it all? What?
There's quite a few national groups. There's Americans United for Separation of Church and State, Freedom from Religion Foundation, American Humanist Society, Secular Coalition for America, and American Atheists. Those are the five. There may be a few more. Lately, I've been doing a lot of work with the American Humanist Society because they have this young whippersnapper who came in as their new executive director and like expanded the organization by 67%. He more than doubled their legal team, so they actually have a state policy coordinator. One of the things that if we can flip our legislature, what they work with, we have a model bill. Well, it's called the Secular Child's Bill of Rights. And it means that none of their funding goes towards private schools, homeschool, that if a child under the age of 18 requires medical attention, that their religious parents cannot, withhold that religious attention. Vaccines suddenly become really important. That there's far too many children here. And by the way, the other side sees their children as property, and frankly, it's disgusting. It's really, really gross. So we want children should be empowered. Right? We are here to guide them and grow into the little humans that they are going to be, not to indoctrinate them. So that's one of the big things. I'd like to see some kind of bill for school board member accountability, because when you have one school board member who can bring nearly $1 million worth of lawsuits to your district, there should be accountability for that, right? Like if you're bringing this kind of ire and scrutiny to the district in a bad way because of your big mouth or whatever, after 25,000, you gotta pay up something. Or maybe if your kids are homeschooled, why do you want to be a homeschool board member? Make it make sense, and they do because they want to dismantle it. They don't want their tax, and Linda McMahon has said it. And by the way, she's a pedophile protector too. The head of our Department of Education, protecting pedophiles. Sorry, I'm the light of every party, I swear. Any other questions?
No, I don't expect you.